Hey everybody, welcome to this special Dirt 5 video. I'm Chris, Social and Community Manager, and I am joined by Robert Karp, Development Director for Dirt 5. Rob, thank you for joining me. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me.
No problem at all. So we're here to...
You're good?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you very much. Just about made it to Christmas and the New Year. So we're here to look back on sort of Dirt 5's launch since we launched in November, and to sort of look ahead to 2021 and some of the things that we've got coming up for you and the ways that we're expanding the game and pushing it forward and using the feedback of you guys, the players, to help drive that. But before we look forward, let's look back a little bit first, Rob. So Dirt 5 launched in November, a massive project for yourself, for the studio, for the company of Codemasters, a bold and fresh new title. Could you just, comment on that general, joy and, happiness around launching this game and just, seeing everybody's reaction to it, especially around next gen as well. Just your thoughts on Dirt 5's launch from November, and what are your thoughts on how that all went down?
Sure. There's sometimes when you work on a game and you work on it for so long, sometimes you think it's never going to be done. It gets really difficult. Other bits, it's really exciting when something takes like a leap forward over a short period of time. And then as you get to the end of the project, the pressure really ranks up. As many people, I've never launched a game in a pandemic or lockdown before. And we're really lucky to be able to continue doing our jobs and provide entertainment. And it was really strange not having everybody around and being near people when the game came out. But it was also really exciting, and as exciting as launching a game in a normal year. And the reaction to Dirt 5 has been incredible. Some of the things I've seen online, from photo mode, I've had quite a lot of playing time with photo mode over the course of the project, and I thought, I'll put some nice images together there. And it's in the user's hands for like 10 minutes, and I'm seeing things on Twitter, and I'm like, how on earth are they doing that? That's such a good shot. The same is true when it came to playgrounds. We had lots of play tests internally, made our own playgrounds, and some of the team, not me, some of the team made really good ones, and some of them were included when we launched the game. But then seeing some of the newer ones that have come out, like there was this wall riding one and loads of other things that we just never thought about or never thought even possible. So seeing people like get hands on with it and create things like that's just been exceptional. I think also seeing the reviews come in is really kind of a nervous and exciting time. When you get a good review and you read it, it's great. When you see one that's still really positive, but has some of the points, you start thinking about those. Can we address those? Is that something maybe we want to do for our next project? Can we do something about it in this game, in our service plans, which we'll probably go to in more detail? So and just launching a game that you've worked on for so long is just a really incredible feeling, and I'm super proud of what the team here and in Southam have managed to achieve, given the time and resource and also the situation in the world.
Yeah, and you led me on nicely to my next point is and you covered it previously. So just getting Dirt 5 to that point of launch is as many games are. It's a tremendous challenge, and there's a lot of skill and time and effort that goes into that process for any game that launches, but particularly in the given circumstances, for a couple of different reasons. And the first one I wanted to cover is, launching across next gen platforms, what is now, I guess, current gen platforms, on Xbox Series X and S and PlayStation 5, but then also launching on PC, and then also launching on what is now, I guess, last gen consoles with Xbox One and PlayStation 4. So I don't know if you could give any kind of insight in what were the biggest, hurdles to overcome in that challenge of developing a game for brand new technology, brand new hardware that, I imagine that your team and that the entire team over there were learning and getting used to as they went along with the development process.
Sure. I've been lucky enough to work on a few launch titles before, and this was very similar but under very different circumstances. When you're working on next gen titles for new hardware, What tends to happen is you get iterations of the hardware during the development cycle of the game that get closer and closer to what either the retail kit or the final development or test kits are going to be like. But the early ones you get on, they're pretty representative, but they're not that. At the same time as that, platform holders are working on their kind of system software and their tools. So whilst you're developing things, the ground's kind of moving underneath you. It's like, kind of running along a conveyor belt. Sometimes you run forward and you get moved further forward because something on the conveyor belt's pushed you forward. Sometimes you're running forward, but you're not making any progress because, things are going against you. And so, both of those manufacturers, I'd just like to say, awesome to work with. The support we've had from both of them has been incredible. But it does mean that, you come up against issues or bugs or things that you're not sure how to fix. You're not sure if it's an issue with the game code or potentially an issue with the system software or the SDK. And, you have to kind of troubleshoot those things. So it takes a little longer than usual. I think this was also the first time for me personally, but also for this studio as a whole, to launch a PC game. And PC games and PC gamers, it's very different to console, and the number of different pieces of hardware combinations and permutations is crazy. It means that end players have lots of choice over what kind of processors they want to use or what kind of GPUs they want to use, but it makes it very hard from a development perspective to have all those different combinations and test on all those different combinations. And that becomes even more troublesome when you're doing a work from home development in the final, 8 or so months or whatever it was, getting equipment to and from people. You may think that's relatively easy and Amazon can ship like that, but actually figuring out who's got what and where stuff needs to go and who's got space. There were times in the project, like we recently implemented steering wheel support, and one of the guys who was working on some of the steering wheel stuff for us was like, I can't really take any more steering wheels. I've got these 3 and I haven't got really space to put anyone else. And so it just creates different and interesting challenges that you have to overcome.
Yeah, there's been a lot of challenges along the way, but a lot of successes too. And I think that it's been, I always try and, as the role that I have, I always try and project a lot of the, excitement and the progression and the successes that we have internally. And I guess given as well the challenges that you've touched on there with remote working, and it's not just you mentioned like logistically and getting hardware to people, but it's in terms of communication, in terms of just offering support and that kind of emotional side of things as well to all employees and making sure everybody's happy and okay and doing everything that they can, to be able to still hit November with the launch and receive those fantastic reviews that we did and get some awesome feedback from players and see those photo mode shots coming in and people already blasting through career mode or creating some insane playgrounds that we couldn't have even thought of even when we were in development. That's even just someone as me who I don't feel as connected to the product as you do as a development director, but even for me I find that quite satisfying and quite rewarding to see people still enjoy it. And I imagine on your side as well, given all the challenges, the stuff that your entire team had to go through, it's been great to see that really positive feedback from reviewers and from players.
It is incredible. We're not a huge team. Codemasters has really helped us during lockdown in terms of little surprise packages that they've delivered and things to keep the team invigorated and motivated, and the team have been really focused and worked hard, and it's been difficult, but like I said at the beginning, we're really lucky to be able to be in a situation where we can continue working, where we can ship a game. The logistical problems and other challenges that we've had, we've overcome these. We've launched a game on lots of different platforms. We've since then put out quite a number of patches to help add content and features, and also fix a few bugs, address a few community issues, and we're going to continue doing that for quite a long time.
Yeah, and you've covered it there, and of course, with all of that, success that we've seen through reviews and really positive feedback from players. Of course, the moment the game hits the shelves, we're busy listening to players and getting their feedback and seeing what they're enjoying, what they want to see more of, what they want to see less of, what things they might be struggling with, and we can address. It's just a natural part of, especially my role, but the entire team and part of the game cycle, really. Before we get into the specifics of that, I guess, could you give, I don't know if there's any more detail you can give on how important that aspect of the game is to you, the process of listening to the feedback that we get from players and actioning on it, not just in fixing bugs and addressing things that they reported, but also looking at what their suggestions and their sort of what their wish list is for the future of Dirt 5 and how important that is as part of the game process. Because I know that because I'm part of the process, and even before launch, way before launch, I remember having discussions with you and the team about that's a massive part of the service plan, the progression of Dirt 5 as we move forward, and time was set aside for that. So I don't know if you can give any more detail into how important that side of things are for Dirt 5 going forward.
Sure. It's really important to us. I kind of liken it to, internally before the game's announced or the game's out, we have, X number of people. They all have one brain each with ideas about the game and thoughts. And as, more people hear about the game, they have more ideas and thoughts. Once you get the game to the public, you have a lot more people who have a lot more interest in the game and who have a lot more ideas for it. And not only that, but these people have worked hard and paid good money to get their hands on the game. And ultimately, they are the gamers, they're the customers. And it's really important for us to understand what they want, understand how they play the game, what features they like, what they want to do. So, we discussed it really early on about how our process was going to work to get players' feedback, for issues and bugs, yes, but also for features and additions and what they want. I'd love to say that we'll be able to do all of them. That's probably not true, but we're tackling as many as we can. And when we get there, even a week after launch, we had ideas from the community that we hadn't thought about, not just going and making liveries that we hadn't made ourselves or playground types that we hadn't made, but ideas for features or content or things that we could do to improve the game, improve the player experience. And we all want to make the best game we can, and we want to make the best game we can for the people who are playing the game and the people who are caring about the game. So when we get that feedback, we sit down, we have meetings, we run through it, we go through that then with the design team as to will that fit, how will that work, how can we integrate it. We get the code team and the programmers looking at it, or the artists, whatever it may be, and we look to try and deliver that.
Yeah, and I guess that's even since launch we've shown that already, and it's just the beginning with some of the the patches that are coming to the game, but also update 2.0, which added in wheel support as we've communicated on, but also a bunch of free new content for players, and also some if you were to delve into the patch notes of update 2.0, you'd see a few things that were just sort of brought forward or prioritized because they were fed back to us from players. So little things like not little things, but just extra things on top of the big sort of content and big news, like things like changing some of the handling settings on the sprint car, because we got feedback from players that they from a lot of players saying they'd like to see a bit of a different model, some different settings there. So we switched that a bit, and there's little things like that players are going to see throughout each patch and update. It's not just going to be fixes and optimizations. There'll be stuff in there that we've managed to implement based on player feedback, and it's not going to be, like you said, it's not going to be immediate, and it's not going to be 100% of everything that players report, but there'll always be time and resources set aside to say, okay, players would like to see this changed, or they'd like to see this added. Let's find time to add that in. And I don't know if you can elaborate anymore, but in upcoming updates and patches, which will be rolling throughout 2021, we're going to see more of that, aren't we?
Yeah. Just looking backwards for a bit, I think one thing I'd like to say is, when we're making the game, we feel like it's our game. Once the game's out there, I don't no longer feel like it's our game. I feel like it's everybody's game. So it's as much, probably less ours than it is the people that are playing it. And so getting the things that they want in is important for them. So for example, we had the trophy where you had to drive 10,000 miles in order to unlock it, or achievement, depending on platform you're playing on. And, we saw a few users complain about this. They felt it was a bit too much driving. So we decreased that to 1,000 miles. And, I think that people were really pleased about that. The same is true of the sprint handling that you mentioned. And there's a bunch of other different things like that. Looking forward, one of the things that we'd already planned to do was private lobbies for our online multiplayer. And, at launch, people were like, we'd like private lobbies, which that worked, that fitted really well for us. There was really nice synergy there. So we'd already had designs for it, and people have already started working on it. So hopefully that's going to be coming early next year. Can't give you any dates yet. But there's quite a few other features and bits of feedback that we're looking to address that are going to be delivered over 2021.
Yeah, and that leads me into sort of my next point, is that let's look into 2021, and there will be those additions and tweaks and changes that are driven by the community, but we're going to be dropping new content. We're going to be expanding the game and giving players new experiences or new looks, new ways to play, new options, all that kind of stuff we're adding in. We've, months ago, we started alluding to that, especially for players who pre-ordered Amplified Edition. We sort of said, give an idea of kind of the perks that are waiting for you when you get into the game, and that's going to take place throughout 2021. So I know we can't give everything away, and it wouldn't make sense to do so, but there's some really interesting stuff coming up, isn't there? That means that we're not just, optimizing and refining the game. We're making it bigger and better and bolder for all players.
Totally. One of the things that I'm most excited about, I'm not sure if this is common knowledge yet, is kind of the multi-class racing. I really like that. We've been able to see it in development, early in development and later. And, I think racing buggies against trucks or different types of cars just adds a whole load of more variety to the game that makes it a lot more interesting and fun. So, as we look to add new career events or change up our multiplayer playlists, these are things that players are going to be seeing in 2021. Just as, one small example.
Yeah, and adding into that, players have been asking about new options for playgrounds, potentially asking about if there's going to be more cars coming to the game, career events, aspects like that. And from what I understand, that's all in the works, isn't it? We'll give further details as we go along, but things like more options for playgrounds, more things for career and cars as well. Those are all things that are going to come in over time, and we can't wait to share more. And I guess that's a big part of your plans going forward.
Yep, I mean, on the cars thing, I don't think you can make a racing game without continually adding more cars. It just seems wrong. So we've got some coming, some cool ones, some different ones. Our kind of focus has always been on the breadth of variety, and we look to continue that as we move into service with some different and interesting and fun things, which is really cool. In terms of playgrounds, we have lots of new content plans, which allowed for lots of different ways to build, create, and lots of different gameplay experiences that they'll give across. There is, of course, new career events, because we know the career is really popular. People love playing the career events. So we'll be adding more of them at the same time as we add new cars. So there'll be lots more there. And then, for everybody, there'll be new tracks coming, and they'll be free for everybody to play. And they'll be added into the new career events too.
Yeah. I think that as well, you mentioned it briefly, and I said earlier on that, Amplified Edition players will get all of that content, and that's part of the process of them pre-ordering that, and they get access to that. And also, if players didn't purchase Amplified Edition before launch, but after launch got the year one upgrade, it's essentially you'll get the same access, you'll get those same entitlements, which is fantastic. But also, if you're a player who's decided not to do that, and you want to stick with the standard version of the game, there's going to be new content for you as well that drops for free. There'll be options to purchase and get some new content that Amplified Edition players or year one upgrade players get, but there'll be free content as well for standard edition players, and we're spreading out that content and making sure that all players have something fresh and new to experience multiple times throughout the coming year, aren't we?
That's very right. That's very right. I mean, this month alone, we added a new ice sprint event in New York with lots of Christmas lights and trees and fun stuff going on. We also added the option to create and build playgrounds and play them with snow, and we're going to be looking to do more of those kind of things for free as well, so that there is good stuff, new stuff for everybody to go and play.
Yeah. So I guess just to kind of begin to close this up, we've talked about launch and the joy and the success that we've seen, and how we've been able to overcome challenges and already begin to listen to player feedback. And we've already got a plan in place for what 2021 is going to hold, and we have a commitment in place to make sure that players not just experience new content and experience new ways to play, but also that core experience of the game is further improved and further optimized for them. So how excited are you for 2021 to come in and see these new updates arrive and get to see players get into that new content and enjoy it, and see their experience just evolve over time? It's an exciting time for me. I can't wait to give more details to players when we get it completely finalized and announced, but I can't imagine for you it's similar levels of excitement as well.
It's very exciting. I mean, we've got the Stadia version coming early next year, which again is another new challenge for us. Very exciting for our first game on Stadia, which is awesome. And then we're going to be adding in, all this content, new cars that we've talked about. There's some cars that are getting ready now to go into the game that I haven't had a go of yet. I'm really looking forward to playing them. So there's a couple of really cool cars in there, or ones that I really like. Hopefully players feel the same way, and can't wait to see their reaction to it. And with the new features and other new content, I think that Dirt 5 is probably going to be one of those evergreen racing titles that people regularly kind of dip in and out to and come back to for that little blast of fun.
Yeah, brilliant. And finally, just to sum up, I don't know if you had any closing thoughts for the players, for our community, for everybody who's jumped into Dirt 5, who's giving us any feedback. If you're on our Discord, giving us feedback. If you're just on our social channels, letting us know your thoughts, sending us your photo mode shots, your playgrounds creations. Anybody at all who's been part of this Dirt 5 experience from launch. I don't know if at this early stage, because we've got so much more to come, if you've got any message for
Firstly, I'd like to thank them all. Thank you all. We wouldn't be here without you. It's great. We love seeing what you're doing with the game and what you're making with the game and how you're enjoying it. Please keep it up. If you have problems or if you have ideas for features, content, anything like that, please reach out on our social channels, at the game, the Discord chat that we have going on. We look at these, we monitor these, and we'll be discussing these in our meetings. So if you do have ideas, please send them forward.